Welcome to Professor Academy. Today we will be discussing the questions of some questions from 2020 Research Aptitude. So let's move on to the first question. Yeah. In using the hypothetical deductive research paradigm, which of the following sequence is considered appropriate? A. Hypothesis making, hypothesis testing, arriving at generalization and conclusion. B. Establishing a research problem, hypothesis making, hypothesis testing, arriving at generalization and conclusion. C. Hypothesis making, establishing a research problem, hypothesis testing, arriving at generalization and conclusion. D. Hypothesis testing, hypothesis making, finalizing the research problem, arriving at generalization and conclusion. And it is all about hypothetical deductive research, and let it be any type of research. And it is very easy to find out that any type of research, whether it is qualitative, quantitative, the research paradigm, anything will start with a research problem or identification of a research question. So it is easy to eliminate all other options, and we can conclude that option B is the right answer for this, because this is the only option that begins with establishing a research problem. Then we will go for a proper hypothesis making, hypothesis testing, arriving at generalization and conclusion. So that's all about the first question. Moving on to question number 2. Which of the following research procedure will figure under post-positivistic approach? A. Normative survey. B. Experimental study. C. Ethnographic study. D. Ex post facto study. And we are very clear that experimental and ex post facto are establishing the causal relationship, and it is only based on the facts and figures, and definitely it will be under the positivism approach. And moving on to the normative survey, what will happen? It is survey. Again, it will be, the data will be, no confusion regarding that. But what is the feature of ethnographic study, where the researcher will go reside with the community, will learn about them, and they will get to know about what is their culture and all, and he will also try to put his own understanding regarding that particular tribe or community. So that is where the positivistic approach of individualistic creativity of the researcher will also be represented in the study. So that is the right answer, which will represent the post-positivism approach. Ethnographic studies, that type of research procedure, which will figure under the post-positivistic approach. Moving on to 3. Question number 3, which is a kind of application level question. A college teacher plans a research program in which he or she intends to improve the socio-emotional aspect of his or her classroom climate during teaching. Which one of the following research method will be considered appropriate in this context? A. Experimental study. B. Descriptive method. C. Historical method. D. Action research method. And the one of the word here itself highlighted, which is the right answer. Always try to find out that key word in every question which can lead you to the answer. And here see the college teacher aspect, improvement or development, all are highlighted to the proper kind of research, which is the action research method. That is why, as last class also we learned why the professional qualities and expertise of researcher is required in the action research method. Here they are to improve a particular situation where they are also a part of it. See, during in his or her classroom climate during teaching, the researcher himself is a part of that particular environment. So he also, that is where improvement, that word itself highlighted, is the action research method. Moving on to question number 4. The personalistic style of writing a research report are permissible in which of the following research? Personalistic style. That is what the post-positivism approach says about. A. Grounded theory research. B. Experimental research. C. Participant observation-based research. D. Historical research. E. Case study research. And out of this, B can be anyway excluded because it is a causal a relationship establishing research where we have seen it will clearly follow the positivism approach. And therefore, all options with B could be eliminated from the chords. And moving on to the other options, C, D, and D. C will stand for participant observation based, and D but stand for the historical research. Historical research, one researcher can't tell any story from his own experience regarding the history. He should tell and represent, and he should utilize the facts that is been already there in the history. So in historical research, you cannot help it with the personalistic side. So definitely this also could be eliminated. And rest of the three, A, C, and D, that is the grounded theory research, participant observation based research, case study research are all the three type of research which will make use of the personalistic style of writing a research report. So A, C, and D, which is the right option, will be the final option D. Moving on to the final question for today. A college principal conducts an ethnographic probe into the problems faced by the tribal students. Which method of sampling will be most appropriate? So, one of the major area where your questions will come. This is like again an application kind of question. We have seen different type of sampling like probability sampling, non-probability sampling in our classes, and we know that the questions can be like you have to choose the type of probability sampling, or you might have to match the type of sampling or its description. Now here it's a level up question where we have been asked about the application level kind of question. So from the sampling, so what you have to understand, again I am telling, this is one type. So we can understand that sampling, the sampling design, the types of sampling, everything are going to be important. In one way or other, the questions will come. So please note that particular topic. This is how you have to analyze your previous year question papers. Okay, moving on to our question. Here the principal conducts an ethnographic probe, and this is it's on a tribal student. So he wanted to understand the features and problems faced by the tribal students. That is why he is making use of the ethnographic method. And first he have to make a understanding. And here what he is not making a study on a particular tribal group or anything. We know inside the tribal group itself there are different categories based on their languages or any particular practices they are following. So anyway, if you wanted to study particularly, it is not anywhere and not the random sampling, because upon a particular group of people. And in stratified sampling, we need different kinds and we need an equal representation. But in cluster sampling, what happens? Whenever you are selecting a cluster, there itself you can represent the population, because the cluster that you select will be heterogeneous and random in nature. And you don't have to do any other categorization or anything. So the most appropriate method in this type of survey will be the cluster sampling. So within the cluster, he will get or not based on the randomness different type of community of the tribal group which is already there. So that is what is happening. Therefore, the cluster sampling is the most appropriate method of sampling in this particular question or in this particular application level question. Yeah, that's all for today. Thank you.